Welcome to the July 2013 Weather Ready Nation briefing by the National Weather Service in Billings and Glasgow. As we look at temperatures for the past 30 days, you can see a large area of above normal temperatures across the western U.S. Some areas as much as 6 to 7 degrees warmer than normal. A little bit cooler in the northeast part of the state, but not really noticeably so. As for precipitation, the top left is showing the observed precipitation across the state and the region, and the lower right is showing the percent of normal. You can see the areas that stand out. The blues are above normal, the oranges are below normal. Not a lot of red to worry about in eastern Montana. That's mostly in the Idaho and western Montana areas where we're starting to see an increase in wildfires. But I know that folks down in the southern part of the state wouldn't mind a little bit more moisture as well, since they're only at about 50% of normal for the last 30 days. And we're seeing things drying out in a few places in the northeast part of the state as well, but they had a lot more moisture to deal with early on this year. Just taking a quick look at the current situation, we've got high pressure pushing in with a bit of a cold front and then the warm frontal boundary coming out of Montana as well. But for us, most of the state's not going to have to deal with a whole lot, yet we could see some thunderstorms in the eastern part of the state as we have these little short waves in the mid-levels of the atmosphere moving through. Normally we like a nice smooth flow, but as you can see here, there's a little bit of waves and curves and stuff coming through, and those short waves could trigger some thunderstorms later this evening. If we look at 7 days of precipitation, you'll see quite a nice amount of moisture in the central part of the country. They really need this moisture with the drought conditions in the southern half of the U.S. For Montana, though, we're looking at maybe a ½ inch or so possible. Again, it's going to kind of depend on where the thunderstorms hit and what they do for us, but we could use more moisture over the next 7 days, and it looks like we'll be able to see that. Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona also getting some much needed moisture to help alleviate their drought and fire conditions that they're dealing with. Our 6 to 10 day outlook shows above normal temperatures and above normal precipitation for the majority of Montana. This takes us from July 28th through August 1st. Very good to see that we could see above normal precipitation, but as the fields start to cure out a little bit late here in this season, do have to kind of start worrying about some lightning potential. But for now, fuel moisture does look good. The 8 to 14 day outlook, again, still kind of nosing into Montana with that above normal temperatures, maybe right around normal in the eastern part of this state, but above normal precipitation except for down in the south where it probably could use a little bit more precipitation. But these lines are not set in stone. They could waver one way or the other. So again, nothing real major to worry about through the August 5th time frame. As we go through the outlook for the month of August, you can see above normal across the western United States, equal chances of above or below for eastern Montana, and equal chances of above or below for precipitation. So no real strong indicators one way or another for our region with moisture. As we look at August, September, and October, again, above normal across the west, maybe slightly just cutting off northeast Montana, but again, these lines can waver a little bit west or east of where they are. And equal chances for above or below normal precipitation through that 3-month time period. Let's look at the drought nationally, and remember that 7-day precipitation totals that I was showing you, and there's a nice 4-inch bullseye through here. It'll be nice to see some of that moisture. We had anywhere from 1 to 2 inches across this area. Again, hopefully some drought relieving rains. It won't take the drought away, but it will definitely help with some of the issues that they're dealing with. As we look more locally though, Montana, actually quite an improvement. This year, 65% of the state is not in some form of drought. Last year, only 39% of the state was not in some sort of drought. So again, that's quite a big improvement, but we still see some trouble areas, especially in the southwest part of the state. Well, El Nino or La Nina, which will it be? We're still looking at things to be neutral. This yellow line is the actual forecast that we're going off of. All the other lines are the other various models that we can see. As you can tell from where we're starting right now, they kind of just trend that line upward, as all the models except for one do have a slight trend upward. But we never do reach that half a degree mark over a 3-month time period that we need to be above normal for an El Nino to occur. Lots of big events in the last few weeks across Montana. July was a massive event from the western part of the state all the way into North Dakota. A very widespread, devastating storm event. All the purples are hail, all the yellows are wind reports. These are wind damage, tornado reports, heavy rain reports. If it was there, we had it, it seems like, on this day. Lots of storms that formed out over the west, and then a lot of them kind of merged together across I-94 between Miles City and Glendive before moving into North Dakota. So a lot of interesting events here. This was the shelf cloud as it moved through Billings, and a beautiful shelf cloud as well as it came through Miles City. Again, shelf clouds are very indicative of having very high, strong winds. There were 2 tornadoes reported this day. One north of Melstone did not cause any damage, and another was a gustnado 12 miles south of Miles City. This occurred along the leading edge. As this storm is pushing through, it causes a spin up out ahead of it, and there was a Weather Service survey on that one that did find that there was a tornado 12 miles south of Miles City. Rygate had a microburst on this day, 75-mile-an-hour winds. You can see a lot of tree damage here. There was holes punctured into the roof of this home, trees uprooted, trees laid over, so quite a bit of damage in the Rygate area. Still July 8th, Ingomar had a microburst as well with winds to 75 miles an hour. You can see part of this roof torn off, a camper flipped over, a shed destroyed. And as we moved closer to Miles City, again, this gustnado type tornado on the leading edge of the severe weather. Winds were estimated to be about 90 miles an hour. You can see again a camper flipped. Some serious damage to a home right here, as well as to the siding on this home here. As we move east into the Glasgow County warning area, you can see large hail. This was in Garfield County east of Jordan. This here is the intersection of Highway 24 and Highway 200 with the rest area. You can see very large hail accumulations here. This was the theater screen in Terry, completely destroyed. And again, very large trees uprooted. A damage survey by the Weather Service in Glasgow found winds of 95 miles per hour in the Fallon area. This graphic is kind of interesting. As you see, watch as it flips back and forth. This is a few days before July 8th and then a few days after, as all the crop damage, as the green goes away from the damaged crops and it dries out. You can see it on satellite imagery. Again, this is a pretty long hail scar that we're seeing showing up in here. So some pretty devastating hail damage. On the 15th of July, we had a tornadic storm in Roosevelt County. This is from the Weather Service office in Glasgow, looking about 35 miles away, and this is about the time the first tornado was reported. This is several hours later, same storm, 140 miles an hour away at this point, but still churning and burning in North Dakota and causing some large hail and damaging. These are photographs, a series of photos of that tornado on that day. The first one starting about 4:39 p.m. and the final one about 4:50 p.m. So you can see quite a series of these photographs as this tornado was moving across north central Roosevelt County. This farm here was the one that had the most damage. As you moved from west to east here, you can see here this calving barn had the roof lifted, the walls dropped down. As it went east, it hit a shed right here that was a big metal building with concrete foundation. The roof of this was flipped westward, hit this Quonset, bounced off, and landed over here. So very impressive storm. There's a garage door missing on this building and has not yet been found, and we do have some roof damage here on this other metal building as well. Just another view. This is that Quonset and the roof of this building that was flipped over and landed behind it. These are some of the concrete foundations that were pulled up out of the ground and dropped several inches away. And this large piece of concrete foundation was actually lifted up and pulled and dropped down into this trailer. On the 17th of July, heavy rains came into parts of Montana and the thunderstorms kept producing over the same area over and over. North of Gardner, the highway had to be closed down. This is the road going to Yellowstone. And you can see MDT had some serious debris to remove. Very heavy, lots of it, very deep, and it took several hours to get all of it out of there. June 20th, another big storm across Macomb Prairie and Dawson County. Hail up to 3 inches, winds over 78 miles an hour, and minor to moderate damage occurred. You can see here in the bottom left, beautiful wall cloud photograph. This is in circle. This produced some devastating crop losses in Macomb County. Here's the storm, beautiful rotating supercell, and you can see a wall cloud trying to form underneath, but just not quite getting to that point. But very easy to mistake this for maybe a funnel cloud or a tornado, but we did not have any tornado reports with this event. And last night, July 22nd, more large hail. We had a lot of reports of golf ball size hail. The largest was 2-inch hail and wind gusts to 60 miles an hour. So again, pretty widespread, starting in Garfield County and then tracking its way to the south and east. And just to show we do have a big sky country, this is that storm when it was north of Jordan. Both of these photos are about the same time, one from Glasgow looking south, one from Billings looking to the east-northeast. And then just a little while later, as the storm was tracking to the southeast, this photo was from east of Colstrip and east of Forsyth. So very beautiful pictures, all showing the same thunderstorm from different areas. Our next call is August 27th at 9 a.m. We hope that you can join us.